The lobby of the Grand Plaza Hotel, a glittering monument to luxury with its Italian marble floors and crystal chandeliers, buzzed with tension so thick it seemed to cling to the air. At the heart of the chaos stood Akiko Tanaka, a Japanese millionaire whose poised exterior masked a storm of frustration and indignation. Her sharp eyes, framed by sleek black hair, flickered with a quiet fury as she stood like a statue, enduring the escalating debacle at the reception desk. For over 40 minutes, she had been trapped in a linguistic limbo, her urgent need for communication met with blank stares and futile attempts by 3 professional translators who now exchanged helpless glances. Sandra Morrison, the hotel's manager, paced furiously, her high heels clacking against the polished floor, her voice slicing through the lobby like a blade. "This Asian woman is turning my hotel into an international circus," she bellowed, her face flushed with exasperation, oblivious to the weight of her words. Akiko's personal assistant, a young man in a tailored suit, typed frantically on his phone, his fingers trembling as he likely cancelled multi-million-dollar meetings that hinged on securing this specific accommodation. The stakes were astronomical. Akiko Tanaka was no ordinary guest. As the CEO of Tanaka Technology International, her presence could make or break the hotel's reputation. Yet Sandra, consumed by her own arrogance, saw only an inconvenience, not a powerhouse. At the edge of the lobby, Denise Washington, a 32-year-old cleaner, moved with quiet precision, her mop gliding across the marble floor. 6 years at the Grand Plaza had taught her to blend into the background, her presence as unremarkable to the elite guests as the gleaming surfaces she maintained. But her dark eyes, sharp and observant, missed nothing. She saw the desperation in Akiko's rigid posture, the silent rage in her clenched fists, and the growing panic among the staff. Denise's heart ached with a familiar sting. She knew what it felt like to be dismissed, to be rendered invisible in a world that valued status over substance. "Mr. Martinez, call someone else." Sandra snapped at the concierge, who was visibly sweating, his tie slightly askew. "This is becoming an international scandal." The third translator, a specialist in Asian languages, shook his head in defeat. "She doesn't speak Mandarin, Korean, or Thai. I've tried everything, she just ignores us." His voice carried the weight of failure, but Denise, pausing her work, felt a spark of recognition. She understood something no one else in the room did. Akiko wasn't ignoring them out of arrogance, she was trapped, her dignity under siege in a foreign land where her words couldn't break through. Sandra's tirade grew louder, her heels echoing like gunfire. "If we don't resolve this in 15 minutes, I'll cancel her presidential suite reservation. Do you know what that means? The financial loss. She owns one of the largest tech networks in the world." The junior receptionist whispered to a colleague, his voice trembling, "If she leaves dissatisfied, our reputation is toast." Akiko finally spoke, her voice rapid and melodic in Japanese, her gestures elegant yet sharp with controlled frustration. The translators exchanged bewildered looks, and Sandra rolled her eyes, her patience evaporating. Denise, however, felt her chest tighten. She had seen this before, countless times, in fact. Wealthy guests treating staff like furniture, managers wielding power like a weapon, and people like her, the unseen workers, expected to absorb the fallout in silence. But today, something shifted inside her. Her hands gripped the mop handle, her knuckles whitening as memories flooded back, years of being overlooked, her talents buried under the weight of others' assumptions. Denise's secret burned within her, a truth she had kept hidden to survive in this elitist world. She was no ordinary cleaner. She spoke 5 languages fluently, including Japanese, a skill honed during 2 years as a volunteer interpreter at a community center for Asian immigrants. Her evenings had been spent studying not just the language but its cultural nuances, driven by a passion to bridge divides for those who felt voiceless. She had a degree in linguistics, a past filled with humanitarian work, and a heart that refused to let injustice fester unchecked. Yet here, at the Grand Plaza, she was just the cleaning lady, her brilliance buried beneath a uniform and a bucket. Sandra's voice cut through her thoughts. "My patience is gone," she shouted, slamming her fist on the marble counter, making the staff flinch. "This woman is making a mockery of my hotel." Akiko's fists tightened, her composure unwavering but her eyes betraying a deep hurt. Denise saw it. The businesswoman understood English, far more than she let on, and every cruel word landed like a blow. Sandra's rant escalated, her arrogance spilling over. "If she can't speak English, she doesn't belong in a world-class American hotel." Denise's breath caught, a familiar fire igniting in her chest. She remembered being fired from her last job for defending a Latina colleague humiliated for her accent. The memory stung, but it also fueled her. She wasn't invisible, not today. Dropping her cleaning cloth, she straightened, her movements deliberate, as if shedding the weight of years spent in the shadows. Her eyes locked with Akiko's for a fleeting moment, and in that silent exchange, Denise saw a woman who, like her, knew the cost of being underestimated. Sandra's venomous performance continued, now aimed at the growing crowd of onlookers. "This is an American company. If you want premium service, speak our language." The lobby fell silent, the air heavy with shock. Akiko's assistant, his patience frayed, spoke rapidly in Japanese, gesturing toward the exit. It was clear they were ready to walk away, taking their business, and millions in contracts, with them. Denise's heart pounded. She couldn't let this happen. Not again. With a steady breath, she stepped forward, her voice soft but unwavering. "Excuse me," she said, addressing Akiko directly in perfect Japanese, her Kyoto accent flawless. "Tanaka-san, gomen nasai. Kono hotel no shitsuri o anata ni o wabi shimasu." "Miss Tanaka, I'm sorry. I apologize for the hotel's rudeness." The lobby froze. Akiko's eyes widened, her stoic mask cracking into a mixture of relief and astonishment. "Anata, Nihongo ga jozu desu ka?" she asked, her voice trembling with curiosity. "You speak Japanese fluently?" Denise smiled humbly. "Sukashi dekimasu," she replied, downplaying her mastery. "I speak a little." Sandra Morrison stood paralyzed, her mouth agape, her authority crumbling. The translators, red-faced, realized they'd been outdone by the woman they'd barely noticed. "That's impossible," Sandra stammered, her voice tinged with panic. "You're a cleaning lady." Akiko, ignoring Sandra, spoke again in Japanese, her tone warm. "Denise-san, doko de Nihongo o benkyo shimashita? Anata no hatsuan wa totemo kirai desu." "Denise, where did you learn Japanese? Your pronunciation is beautiful." Denise's heart swelled, but she kept her composure. "Kyoto no daigaku de benkyo shimashita. Nihon no bunka ga daisuki desu." "I studied at a university in Kyoto and love Japanese culture." The crowd murmured, the atmosphere shifting from tension to awe. Marcus Johnson, the senior concierge and one of the few black employees in leadership, stepped forward, his eyes shining with pride. "Miss Morrison," he said calmly, "perhaps we should let Miss Washington handle this." Sandra's face twisted in disbelief. "A cleaning lady? This is an international scandal." But Akiko, now in full command, switched to English, her voice icy and precise. "The only scandal here is you, Miss Morrison. I speak fluent English and have understood every racist, xenophobic word you've said for the past 2 hours." The lobby gasped. Sandra staggered, her world unraveling. You speak English?" she whispered, fluently, Akiko confirmed, her gaze piercing. And I've recorded every word. She held up her phone, the recorder still running. Sandra's face drained of color, her career flashing before her eyes. Marcus, ever diplomatic, added, "Our security cameras also captured everything, Miss Morrison. There's no legal expectation of privacy in the lobby." Denise, standing tall, addressed Akiko again in Japanese, offering to resolve the reservation issue swiftly. Akiko nodded, her gratitude palpable. But Sandra, desperate to salvage her authority, lashed out. "Denise Washington, you're suspended. Leave now." The threat hung in the air, but Denise's response was serene, unshakable. "I understand, Miss Morrison. But first, I'll ensure our guest is treated with the respect she deserves." Her words carried a quiet power, the kind born from years of enduring prejudice and emerging stronger. Akiko's next move was devastating. "My full name is Akiko Tanaka, CEO of Tanaka Technology International," she announced, her voice commanding the silent lobby. "My company holds $12 million in annual contracts with American hotels. I also sit on the International Tourism Board, and a negative recommendation from me could cost this hotel tens of millions." Sandra trembled, the weight of her mistake crushing her. "Furthermore," Akiko continued, "I've sent recordings of your conduct to the tourism boards of 4 countries, this hotel's national management, and my PR team in Tokyo." Sandra's phone rang, her supervisor's name flashing on the screen. Her hands shook as she answered, her voice a broken whisper. "Yes, Mr. Davidson. I can explain, but it was too late." Akiko turned to Denise, her expression softening. "Ms. Washington, I researched your background while this unfolded. A linguistics degree, volunteer interpreter, fluent in 5 languages, you're exactly who my company needs. I'd like to offer you a position as coordinator of intercultural relations, starting at $90,000 a year." The lobby erupted in stunned whispers. Denise, the invisible cleaner, was now an international executive. Sandra, meanwhile, collapsed into a chair, her career in ruins. "I've been fired," she whispered, her voice hollow. "For cause." 6 months later, Denise sat in her office at Tanaka Technology International, the city skyline stretching before her. As coordinator of intercultural relations, she had transformed corporate cultures, built bridges for marginalized communities, and set new standards for inclusivity. Marcus, now her assistant, knocked gently. "The Japanese executives' meeting is at 3 o'clock. Our new intern, the Latina maid you found, she's thriving." Across town, Sandra Morrison sat in a cramped apartment, her once glamorous life reduced to scanning job listings. Her xenophobic outburst, now a viral scandal, had ended her career. The Grand Plaza, under new management and with Akiko as a minority investor, had become a beacon of diversity, its policies rewritten to ensure no one would ever be dismissed or humiliated. As she had a tea lunch with Akiko, Denise reflected on her journey. "For years, I thought my skills were worthless because no one saw them," she said, her voice steady but emotional. Akiko smiled. "You proved that true power lies in refusing to stay invisible." Sandra Morrison didn't just lose her job, she lost her chance to be part of a better world. Denise's story spread, inspiring thousands through speeches and documentaries. It wasn't about revenge but about excellence in the face of prejudice. Sandra's arrogance had unwittingly given Denise the stage to shine, proving that sometimes, our greatest adversaries reveal our deepest strengths. As Denise led global negotiations with the same grace she once used to clean floors, she carried a truth that resonated worldwide: true victory isn't in defeating those who diminish us, but in rising so brilliantly that their efforts become irrelevant.